Hey everyone, this is Mike from Rare Achievements, and this is the first edition of Rare Lore. This is going to be a limited series that I'm going to bring back around anytime there's a game that has lore that interests me and that needs some explaining so you guys can figure out what's going on. Today I'll be diving into the lore of Mortal Shell. The lore of Mortal Shell is very sporadically laid out in the world that we explore as a character best and most often known as the Unborn. Some parts of that lore manage to tell a very clear and compelling story, while others leave you with many questions. For that reason, all that I present to you today can be considered very well-informed theories as opposed to statements of verifiable truth. I'm also going to be leaving a few questions unanswered quite intentionally. For those questions, I encourage you to comment with theories of your own. Perhaps together, we can sort out some of the unsolved elements of this lore. Also, for anybody that needs to hear it, this is your spoiler alert. And with all that out of the way, let's dig in. The story of Mortal Shell takes place in 4 areas that each have a few subsections. The first of these is Fulgrim, a place where brigands while away their days yearning for nectar, drinking moonshine, eating rats, and playing one mean lute. Second is the Seat of Infinity, where scholars have gone mad searching for answers among the stone tablets of the shifting archives. The third is the Crypt of Martyrs, where a cult worshipping the Immaculate sealed themselves off from the world in an icy sanctum guarded by a great enslaved beast. The fourth and final section is the Shrine of Ash, where zealous souls guard the forge and foundry of old, awaiting their turn to take part in the Liturgy of Ash. From Fulgrim, the Unborn travels to the other 3 locations to retrieve the sacred glands, so that the old prisoner might drink their nectar. The true nectar. For the old prisoner believes that the true nectar holds the key to ascension. Now we come to some things which are unclear, and my own interpretation will be what you hear for a bit. One important question to answer in terms of this story is, what is ascension? My assumption here leads to how I will approach some major points of the story. That assumption is that ascension refers to becoming a god. If we look at the definitions of nectar and ascension, I can explain why. Ascension is the act of rising to an important or higher level, while nectar is the life-giving drink of the gods. So only by drinking the true life-giving drink of the gods may one rise to an important position. I think that makes my point, but this is not expressly explained in the lore, so feel free to disagree. So we, the player, as the Unborn, set out to each of the 3 temples of the revered. At the end of each temple, we meet one of the devout, guarding what remains of the revered, including the sacred glands containing true nectar. In the Crypt of Martyrs, the revered is given a clear name. The Immaculate, she is called. In the Shrine of Ash, I believe the revered to be Vatra, a goddess whose followers created the molten spike. Although this is only an assumption, since we are not given a clear picture of who Vatra is. At the Seat of Infinity, we see a giant head, but I have yet to find a name given to this revered. But here you can see what I am referring to. This is where things get complicated. I believe Vatra and the Immaculate ascended and became gods, while the third revered I just don't have enough information on to be certain. What is clear is that there was a 4th revered, the old prisoner, also known as the Dark Father. We know this because he is the only other being to possess a sacred gland. The Dark Father was mutated by blasphemous acts and imprisoned where the tarnished seal was used to keep his sacred gland from creating true nectar. That is the biggest assumption that I make. Because we retrieved the tarnished seal from the old prisoner's neck, and later we retrieve the sacred gland from the same place, I believe the tarnished seal was used in some way to destroy or disrupt the production of nectar within the old prisoner's sacred gland. So once the unborn removes that seal and hunts down the other 3 sacred glands, the old prisoner drinks the true nectar from them, but he is unable to ascend, unable to become a god. After his defeat at the hands of the unborn, he is forced to watch them ascend. Why? I don't believe the reason to be any different than before. He was tainted, unworthy of ascension. Meanwhile, we, the unborn, were deemed to be pure enough to join the gods. Why we are worthy to ascend and join the gods is not entirely clear, but it does seem to have been prophesied by the scholars at the Seat of Infinity. So that is a very general look at the basic lore of Mortal Shell. There are many more stories to tell, and several mysteries to solve. I'll even throw one out there for you before I go. Why is there nascent tar in a chest behind some bramble in a seemingly random spot in Fulgrim? Nascent tar is something we only see when defeating the devout and retrieving a sacred gland, but for this one exception. So everyone, that's the video. Much thanks goes out to the Mortal Shell Discord who helped in discovering a lot of the information you've heard here today and a lot of the information you may hear in the future if you guys like this video. If you do like the video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel or just keep watching in the future because all I really need is your viewership. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.